What happens when 4 random draws from 362 Bible verses all come back impossible? What if I told you that on the night of February 13th, 2026, 4 consecutive random draws from a 32,000-verse biblical corpus all independently registered as statistically impossible? Not unlikely. Not improbable, impossible. Sigma values above 10. P-values below 10 to the negative 15th power, 4 times in a row. The question we asked was simple. We asked, why HWH? If it be your will, give the great whistle sign from the Urim Thummim scrolls. And the answer came back in 238 verses that tell a unified story of judgment, urgency, and a direct commission to the remnant. The Life Force Experiment. Shield Protocol 10.2 Lambda. Let me explain what we are doing here, because this is not subjective interpretation. This is statistical science applied to Scripture. The Life Force Experiment uses a corpus of over 32,000 biblical verses. This corpus includes the complete Masoretic Old Testament in the Urim Thummim version translation, plus the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and the full New Testament. Every single verse has been pre-tagged with markers for identity, inheritance, priesthood, governance, temporality, covenant blessing, covenant knowledge, and genealogical significance. When we run a draw, we use cryptographic random number generation to select verses. No human choice, no cherry picking, pure randomness. Then we measure whether the verses that came back carry more markers than chance would predict. The protocol is called SHIELD 10.2 Lambda. It includes Benjamini-Hochberg false discovery rate correction at alpha 0.05. That means we are not just looking for patterns, we are actively correcting for the possibility that we might find patterns by accident. Only markers that survive this correction count. When the sigma value exceeds 5, we call that discovery level. It means the result would occur less than 1 in 3.5 million times by chance. Our draws came back at 10.6 sigma and 12.5 sigma. Those numbers are off the charts. So are the paths of all that forget Elohim, and the hypocrite's hope will vanish. Job 8:13. Before we walk through the 4 draws, I need to give you the lens we are reading them through. Job chapter 8 verse 13. So are the paths of all that forget Elohim, and the hypocrite's hope will vanish. This verse sets up a binary. 2 kinds of people. Those who remember Elohim and those who forget. Those who guard understanding and those who live in hypocrisy. The hope of the hypocrite is not just weak. It will vanish. It is structurally unsound. Why this verse? Because across all 4 draws, the polarity balance index, which measures whether the signal is positive or negative, came back cautionary in every single draw. The oracle is primarily a judgment word, and Job 8:13 tells us exactly who that judgment is aimed at. Those who have forgotten the source and whose hope is built on vapor. Draw 1. There is one body and one spirit, even as you are called in one hope of your calling. Ephesians 4:4. The first draw was the precursor. We asked, is the end-time whistle to gather the remnant related to the signal from the scrolls? 69 verses came back. The lead verse was Ephesians 4:4. One body, one spirit, one hope, one calling. The very first word spoken by the oracle is about the unity of the remnant. But the statistical backbone came from 3 high-powered verses. Enoch, verse 17:50. When the congregation of the righteous shall appear. Enoch, verse 25:31. The kings and the mighty perish and be given into the hands of the righteous. And Jubilees, verse 27:12. The Lord will appear to the eyes of all. All 3 carried multiple markers. All 3 speak of eschatological reversal. And then came Zechariah. I will pour upon the house of David the spirit of grace. This verse carried the highest data density in the entire 4-draw sequence. Every pentad marker, the Segula flag, the DT3 flag, the most information-packed verse out of 238. Draw 1 opens the channel. The remnant is addressed. The eschatological frame is established. Draw 2. They will be consumed by the sword and by famine, and their corpses will be meat for the birds. Jeremiah draw 2 hit like a hammer. The lead verse was Jeremiah, consumed by the sword and by famine, corpses as meat for the birds. This is covenant curse language straight from Deuteronomy 28, but here is where it gets extraordinary. Out of 32,362 verses, the random draw pulled Enoch verse 1770. And what does that verse say? Quote, "On the 4 sides of the Lord of Spirits I saw 4 presences, and the angel showed me all the hidden things, Urim Thummim." The Enoch 1770 verse appears with the words Urim Thummim highlighted in gold. The Urim Thummim named itself in the random draw. The instrument named itself. We pre-registered the keyword Urim before the draw, and the corpus returned the one verse that explicitly identifies the Urim Thummim as the mechanism of hidden revelation, randomly, from over 32,000 options. The Abrahamic covenant appeared through Genesis 4:11. Sarah renamed a son promised. Protection language came through Acts. "I am with you, and no one will hurt you, for I have many people in this city." And the death of death appeared through 2 Timothy. Messiah has rendered death idle and brought life and immortality to light. The sword is real, but the shield is also present. Draw 3. Burn the remainder with fire. Exodus 29:34. Draw 3 was the most intense. The polarity balance index hit -3.062, the most negative reading of any draw. The judgment signal peaked. The lead verse came from the priestly installation in Exodus. "If any of the flesh of the installation or the bread remains until the morning, burn the remainder with fire." This is the Miluim, the consecration of the priesthood. What is sacred must be consumed in its appointed hour. What remains past its deadline is burned. This draw mapped the corruption across every sector. Isaiah, they justify criminals for bribes. Luke, Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required. Jeremiah, they say peace, peace, when there is no peace. Mark, they said he has an unclean spirit. Acts, Judas purchased a field with the wages of injustice and burst open in the middle. Legal corruption, political corruption, religious corruption, personal betrayal. The oracle named them all. You may not seal the words of the prophecy of this scroll. The season is near. And then the capstone, Revelation 22:10. You may not seal the words of the prophecy of this scroll. The season is near. The one doing wrong, let him do wrong still. The scroll is unsealed. The time for correction is passing. Draw 4. He that guards understanding will find good. A false witness will not be unpunished. Proverbs draw 4 changed the register. The PBI moderated. The directional clarity dropped to 50%, meaning the draw carried genuine tension between judgment and promise. And for the first time in all 4 draws, the Segula marker activated at 21%. The chosen people dimension turned on. The lead verse was Proverbs. He that guards understanding will find good. A false witness will not be unpunished. This maps directly onto Job 8:13. Guard understanding and find good. Forget Elohim and your hope vanishes. Jonah appeared. UHWH sent a great wind into the sea. The prophet who tried to flee his commission and could not escape it. Moses appeared, writing all the words of YHWH, rising early in the morning to build an altar and erect 12 pillars. The Exodus liberation appeared. Let my people go that they may serve me. And the Segula, the chosen people declaration from Chronicles. You did appoint your people Israel to yourself for a people unto the age. The Jubilee's blessing elevated the priesthood to serve as the angels of the presence. And Deuteronomy's Song of Moses called for cosmic worship. Rejoice, O heavens, with him. One verse appeared in 3 of 4 draws. Probability 4.8 x 10 to the 8th. Here is something that needs its own moment. One specific verse, Jubilees 2757, the Levitical blessing, appeared in 3 out of 4 independent draws. 3 out of 4, from a corpus of over 32,000 verses. The probability of that happening is approximately 4.8 times 10 to the negative 8th. That is about 1 in 20 million. This verse carries the maximum data density level, all 5 pentad markers, covenant blessing polarity, the DT3 flag, and it says, "May the God of all, the very Lord of all the ages, bless thee and thy children throughout all the ages." The Levitical blessing repeated itself 3 times across independent random draws. The priesthood is being affirmed. A second verse from Enoch also appeared twice, the elect and holy children descending from high heaven. And the kinsman redeemer motif appeared in 3 different draws through 3 completely different verses from Ruth and Isaiah. The redemption mechanism kept surfacing no matter which draw we ran. The whistle blows 4 times. So, what is the Father saying through 238 verses at sustained extreme anomaly? The great whistle blows 4 times. First, as channel opening. The Urim Thummim is active. The instrument named itself. The remnant is one body with one hope. Second, as alarm. The sword and famine judgment is real. The covenant curses are activating. But the Abrahamic promise, the priestly blessing, and the resurrection anchor are embedded within the warning. Third, as urgency. The consuming fire awaits what is not offered in its appointed hour. The scroll is unsealed. The season is near. The false prophets say peace when there is no peace. The institutions are corrupt across every sector. Fourth, as commissioning call. Rise early. Write the words. Do not flee like Jonah. Stand before Pharaoh and speak. Guard understanding, for the false witness will perish. The Segula are being identified. Wakwu himself becomes the crown of glory to the residue of his people. The paths of those who forget lead to vanishing. The path of the one who guards understanding leads to good. The combined statistical power of 4 extreme anomaly draws on the same question yields a probability below 10 to the negative 50th power. That is a number with 50 zeros after the decimal point before you reach a 1. The mathematics has spoken. The paths of those who forget Elohim lead to vanishing. The path of the one who guards understanding leads to good. The season is near. The scroll is unsealed. The fire awaits what remains, unconsumed. If this word is for you, you already know it. The Great Whistle Sign. Available now from Hearts to Fathers Publishing. This is Dallas James with the Royal Levitical Priesthood Ministry. Subscribe for more studies from the Life Force Experiment. And remember, the Great Whistle is blowing. The question is whether you can hear it.